All right, everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Kyo. Today we are making one of my favorites, pulled pork barbecue. We're going to be smoking a Boston butt or pork shoulder. I'm going to show you all exactly how I season it, how I cook it, time and temperature, the wrap, things like that. It sounds like a lot, but don't be intimidated. This is extremely easy. If you've never done pulled pork before, I promise you this recipe is the one for you because it's going to be super simple. And I'm going to show you all everything I do, every step. And then also I'm going to show you a really delicious sweet and spicy vinegar barbecue sauce that goes perfect with this pork. So stick around and let's get into it. All right, so we've got a 14-pound Boston butt or pork shoulder here. Most of them will range between 12 to 14 pounds. And so, yeah, you can just kind of follow along accordingly. As you can see, I've just taken it out of the pack. I'm just drying it off a little bit with a paper towel. At this point, I'm also feeling around where the bones are, trying to make sure there's no bone shards hanging off. I'm also going to trim off any pieces that are just kind of hanging off, like little thin pieces, because those will just burn or dry out during the cook. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is get what we like to call a binder, and that's just going to help keep the seasonings intact on the meat. I'm using Worcestershire sauce. A lot of people like to use yellow mustard, so you could go either or. It doesn't really matter. You're not gonna really taste the flavor. It doesn't really come out too strong in the meat. Now the next thing is we're going to do a little bit of sea salt. Well, I say a little bit, it's actually going to be a lot. So you're just going to do one thin layer across the top. Next thing we're going to do is coarse ground black pepper. Same thing, just one thin layer across the top. And I'm not measuring anything here. These seasonings, this meat is so thick and such a big cut that it will take a lot of seasoning. Next thing we're gonna do is that secret weapon, the Lawrys seasoning salt. Everybody loves that. It's gonna give a really good flavor. It's also gonna give a really pretty color. And then I like to add a little extra garlic. So I got some granulated garlic here. Same thing, just a thin line across the top. Now we're gonna pat that in. Don't rub it. I know they call it rub, but you don't wanna rub it. You actually just wanna pat it in. Rubbing it will just cause like caking and it'll just kind of smear around, which doesn't look very good. So now we're just gonna hit every side with that exact same method. So we're gonna go salt, pepper, Lawry's, garlic powder on every side, and then we'll flip it down to the back, same thing. And yeah, that is it for the seasoning. All right, so now that we've got it all seasoned up, we are going to insert that thermometer, and you just want to insert it into the thickest part of the meat. You want to try and avoid the bones. You want to go straight into the meat. Once we got that in, we're going to take it out to the smoker and let it roll at 275 degrees Fahrenheit until we get up to 165 to 170 degrees internal. All right, for the sweet and spicy vinegar sauce, we got 1 tablespoon of crushed red pepper, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of ground mustard powder, and we've got 1 teaspoon of celery salt, and then 2 teaspoons of granulated garlic or garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and then 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then we're gonna go in with 1 whole cup of dark brown sugar. And then we're doing 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, 1 whole cup of ketchup, and then we'll just give that a mix over a medium-high heat until it comes to a simmer. And let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes on a really low heat. And this stuff is awesome. It is really good. It's going to pair perfectly with that pulled pork. All right, and this is optional. Once it's cooled down a little bit, I like to give it a blend with an immersion blender. You could also pour it into a regular blender if you want. I just like to break up a little bit of those red pepper flakes. Makes the sauce a little bit smoother, but like I said, optional. All right, so the pork has reached an internal temperature of 170 degrees. It took me about 5.5 hours to get there. So it's a pretty quick cook. When you're cooking at 275, it's gonna go pretty fast, which is a good thing if you're trying to get it done in a hurry. Now, we're gonna transfer that to a foil pan. And we're gonna dump a 8-ounce bottle of apple juice on top, and then we're going to cover it with some foil, and we will put it back on the smoker at 275 degrees until we get up to 205 to 210 degrees internal. And then we will take it out. We'll let it rest on the counter for about an hour. This thing is going to come out perfect. So, like I said, showing you here, we got up to, I got up to 210 degrees internal temperature. I let it rest for an hour, and now we're going to take that out. You can see there's a lot of juices. That's some of the apple juice and some of the pork juice and a lot of fat that has rendered down. So we're going to pour that out very carefully and set it off to the side. You don't want to discard that. You want to keep it, because what we'll be able to do is actually mix that back in once we've pulled the pork. We'll be able to mix that back in to add some more moisture in. But look at that, the bone comes out, clean bone. That's how you know that you did it right. This whole cook was super simple, super easy. It took about 8 hours. It was about 5.5. Then we took it out. We put the apple juice on. We wrapped it, put it back in for another 2.5 hours or so until we got it 210 degrees. And I mean, look at this stuff. It pulls right apart. It's super tender, super juicy. And this is a very easy recipe. I really think that everyone should try it, especially if you've never smoked anything before. This is a perfect way to kind of break into it, get your feet wet, if you will. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoy this. Oh yeah, now that you've got the pork all, pulled or shredded, we take that liquid that we had left over, and you can see about half of it is fat. That clear kind of yellowish stuff floating on the top, that is fat. You can use that. You can pour that back into the meat if you want, but the meat's got so much fat already. Honestly, try and cut down as much as possible. So I'm going to skim off as much fat from the top of this as I can. If you have a gravy separator, those of you who know what that is, that would be perfect for this. I don't have one. I need to get one. But yeah, so I just skim off the fat from the top, and then I'll put a ladle or two of that pure pork juice that has a little bit of that apple juice mixed into it. I'm just gonna pour that straight over and mix that back into the meat. And it's gonna make it so juicy and so flavorful, because there's a lot of flavor in that juice as well. All right, and that's it. If y'all enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and comment down below and let me know what videos you want to see me do in the future. Thank y'all so much.